Hello and welcome to Politics. Today I'm Farooq Patafi. Once again we are going to talk about the political direction, and of course we are going to talk about how the opposition is behaving in the country. Naturally, we have been repeatedly hearing that PDM is going to stage this rally, PDM is going to protest there as well. And finally, since yesterday we have heard that PDM is going to tender resignation from the parliament. This, if you remember, the day PDM was created, at that time also it was a question because many pundits linked to this set of parties actually believe that it is a open and shut case if all the MPs, federal and provincial, tender their resignations. Naturally it will bring the functioning of government to a halt, right? This is the argument they have been giving, but somehow it seems that People's Party is not convinced. People's Party was not convinced on the election day when PMLN and JUIF wanted to protest. People's Party still seems to be dilly-dallying. As a result, recently we heard that PMLN is demanding that the resignations should be tendered before December 13th rally. But now it has been shifted to 31st December, and that also is limited to everybody submitting the resignation to their own party leaders rather than anybody else. On one side, this is happening. On the other side, Federal Minister for Human Rights has actually leveled a charge, and which is very big. She says, Shri Mazari Sahaba says that PDM is being financed from without the country, and that becomes a serious charge. We are going to talk about all these matters. Of course, there are rumors that India might be staging some kind of distraction by attacking Pakistan, and there are many other aspects that one has to cover. And finally, a villain bigger than India, a villain or enemy bigger than India. COVID-19 is also spreading very rapidly. We have to take all these matters into account. Why is it that our political parties don't realize that this is a state of international crisis at that moment? Perhaps bickering will not help. We are going to talk about all these matters and more. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by Javed Jadoon Saab in the studio, senior journalist, senior analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. On Skype, I am joined by Abdul Samad Yaqub Saab, who is representing the ruling party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Yaqub Saab, thank you very much for being part of the program. And then we are joined by Rana Ehsan Afzal Khan Saab, representing Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. Let me start with you. Rana Saab, thank you very much as well. Let me start with you, Abdul Samad Yaqub Saab. Do tell us, why is it that the government doesn't seem to be able to connect with the opposition and convince it that rallies, jalsas, dharnas at this moment will be counterproductive not only for democracy or the government, but also for the opposition parties, their own supporters?
First of all, we have to see the some events which unfolded in recent past, and I would like to mention the event which I witnessed, and that was the joint committee formed on the basis of 24 MNAs.
Right.
That the meeting was held just to sort out pertaining to issues of the reforms of these NAB laws. And that was the time the second meeting supposed to be held the next day, and the opposition members has floated to 37, almost 37 points that was needed to be reformed, and that was
Right.
presented to Prime Minister Imran Khan by Shah Mahmood Qureshi, which Prime Minister categorically refused it, because
Yeah.
he thought that if it is meant to be almost a burden the NAB So from there,
Right,
the situation
right.
started.
Abdul
Actually,
Samad
Farooq,
Sahab, I
let
understand
me
what you're
finish.
saying, but with due
Let me
respect to
finish.
apples and oranges, you're talking about the legislation that was needed
No, no,
for
no, 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 no,
FATF.
Farooq, let me finish.
Right now,
Let
I'm
me
talking
finish.
about COVID-19, which can be, it doesn't have anything to do with the parliament. The main thing is convincing opposition to put off its agitation for a couple of months till the time we know what COVID-19 is going to do. It shouldn't be that hard.
No, actually, I was trying to convey my point is the situation from where the tensions were deteriorated further. I mean, then these jalsas and then these the point come where we have reached to these jalsas. The recent one which we have seen in the Multan, which was complete failure from the government. But I didn't get your point regarding the COVID situation. I mean,
Right.
can you further?
Jalsas, with due respect, jalsas and rallies actually turn into super spreader events where a lot of people can get COVID-19. Even a honorable court also ordered the government to enforce SOPs. That was the concern. But I'm going to come back to you, Abdul Samad Saab. Let me bring in Rana Ehsan Afzal Khan. Rana Sahab, your party, unlike the incumbent party, ruling party at this moment, has been in power for quite some time, and your voters are being exposed to the possibility of catching COVID-19 because of your rallies. Why is it that you don't actually call out those rallies? Because we have seen in Multan there was no SOP, enforcement.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The government did not allow us to enforce SOPs in Multan because they were attacking us, they were arresting us, and they did not let us do a planned jalsa. If it was a planned convention, then things would have been different. We would have had entry points, exit points, and we would have distributed masks at the entry points, and we would have distributed sanitizers at the entry point. So if the government allows this to happen in
Right.
Lahore in a planned, like, so I think we can be
Rana
very
Sahib, that
well
is,
prepared.
you're talking about the government's responsibility. Let us ask about your responsibility. When you actually make this call and you ask people to come out, there's always the risk that people might not be able to, follow SOPs. I mean, there were many moving parts and anything could fall apart. So why risk lives of your own supporters who are actually in support of your party to the extent that they brave, confrontation or crackdowns as well?
The official stance of our party on your question is that this government is a bigger threat than Corona, based on the fact that 24% of Pakistanis were living below poverty line in 2018. But today, economists are forecasting that 40 to 45% of Pakistanis are living below poverty line. So, how
Okay.
many deaths have taken place because of this poverty? How many
Yeah,
people
but
have been made?
with due respect, if you really believe that any political party can be a bigger challenge than COVID-19, then you are not only disagreeing with science but also global wisdom, which has evolved over past 1 year.
We
I'm
are
going
going
to
to
come back to you, Rana Sahab, but kindly you have to actually come up with a more satisfying answer when I come back to you. Let me bring in Javed Jadoon Sahab, who is very patiently waiting for his turn. Javed Jadoon Sahab, you have listened to both the arguments, right? The concern is that it is a dialogue of the deaf. Both sides seem to be talking about different things, and they don't realize that their own constituents might be catching the virus because of the agitation, because of all this heat in the system, where everybody should be focusing A on COVID-19, B on fighting the financial or economic ramifications of the lockdowns and for combat against COVID-19 as well. Who is going to build the bridges?
I think if you remember, Farooq, we discussed the same angle in the last discussion
Yeah.
as well. That is primarily it is the responsibility of the government
Yeah, but
to engage with the opposition first, and secondly, And most importantly, I think opposition was also part of the system. And the two main political parties remained in power more than once. And they do understand, they do realize that COVID-19 is a serious issue, is a serious threat facing the whole, or rather the entire globe. It's not only Pakistan. And what is happening in the USA, we have seen the images, we have read the stories and reports, how hospitals are being overwhelmed over there. And even in Pakistan, I think 7.7% increase, the growth rate is
The positivity rate actually has exceeded 8%.
I think this is very, very alarming. So in this prevailing situation, if opposition goes for a certain amount of delay in holding the public rallies and jalsas, etc., I think they are not going to lose anything, because people's health is paramount. It should be paramount and should be the most important aspect as far as opposition and the government
let me give
are
you an
concerned.
example why I keep on asking this question again and again and over and over. You have listened to both sides, right? Both think that their political opponents are bigger challenge than COVID-19. COVID-19 is killing everybody.
I think no, not at all. I think COVID is the biggest enemy right now, is the biggest challenge right now. Politics can always wait for. Politics is definitely something which can be practiced when the pandemic is over, and when pandemic is probably at its worst right now in Pakistan. And the coming month, which is the January, the most cold month of the season, and all medical experts and the medical practitioners, they believe that the more it gets cold, the more the disease spreads. And as you said, the jalsas and the rallies are the super spreader. And if you can avoid them right now, you can wait for a couple of months, and then you can go for your political maneuvering and political rallies, etc. You can put the pressure on the government, whatever you want to do. But right now, I think the people's interests and people's health and people's lives, and even the livelihood of the people, should be the paramount objective of the opposition, as well for the government as well, because it is about time government should, I think, should reach out to the main political parties, and the people of Pakistan would be the kind of a judge. They would understand that, well, government has its intentions. They would like to engage the opposition parties, and I don't see any logical or rational kind of arguments they are forwarding as far as opposition is concerned.
In the past, we have seen there used to be people like Nawab Zada Nasrullah. There were umpteen others who used to act as bridge between the two opposing parties. If the government cannot reach out, and if the opposition is not ready to listen, do you think that there is a third party which might be able to build bridges?
I think then the God is the only third party in Pakistan right now.
Yeah, because there is hardly any middle ground left in the country, right? Too much of polarization. Abdul Samad, let me ask you once again. I have talked about this aspect. Now let me also bring in the factor that is very important. Opposition says that it is going to resign en masse from all the houses, parliaments, federal and provincial. What are you going to do if that happens? Are you going to conduct the business as usual, or you are going to ask for a new election?
Farooq, first of all, perhaps I wrongly perceived your question at first instance. It was pertaining to the COVID SOPs. So first of all, let me clear it. The basic violation of SOP from the opposition is gathering over 300% at same place. So it is the basic violation. So once they start the jalsa, I mean, they cannot prepare for other SOPs. Anyways, regarding these resignations, I mean, if there are two aspects. One is the political one, and the second is the constitutional one. Okay, constitutionally we are bound to go for the by-elections. I mean, it doesn't affect at all on the parliament or the quorum, because the quorum required the 84 minimum members to fulfill the quorum. Okay, it doesn't affect at all on the house, right? And the second part is political grounds or political aspect or a moral ground. Yes, there will be a political instability, and in that case, I mean, in order to prevent that's why Prime Minister has already invited them for the dialogue. But again, they are not ready to dialogue with the government Rather, they are trying to push or trying to, invite the
Right.
other institutes.
Can you, Abdul Samad, can you actually qualify what you're saying regarding the Prime Minister has invited opposition parties for a dialogue? Has he written a letter? Has he actually reached out practically to these leaders? Or you are using media to actually reach out to the opposition?
Yes. Yes, even today in Sialkot, he generally addressed to the media. I mean, he conveyed his,
Okay.
and there are the other channels as well. I mean, through perhaps through Ahmed Dogar, who is a chief whip of National Assembly and also becomes a special assistant to Prime Minister. So the main, the main channel was used by the media. I mean, today he has already been invited again, even in the House. In the Parliament or some other forum. But
Right. May I
in
ask you one more question? I mean, you have highlighted channels which are indirect, of course. Chief Whip, of course, belongs to the Parliament, and it is a function there. It could have been very easy if just a phone call was made. I mean, if you cannot talk to people who are agitating, calling Shehbaz Sharif, who is the opposition leader, would have actually solved a lot of problems. Similarly, Asif Ali Zardari or somebody, just a phone call would have actually fixed all these problems, don't you think?
as I have already told you earlier that the situation is deteriorated further. So I think Prime Minister must have been using some other channels as well, or some other contacts on different levels. But
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I just highlighted this point because a direct a contact can actually diffuse a lot of bombs. But let me go back to Rana Ehsan Afzal. Rana Sahab, since we are talking about all these matters, and I'm still waiting for a satisfying response to the earlier question. But again, at a time when pandemic is there, whether if you are not in denial about it, it is a reality. People are dying, people that we know are dying. The question is, you have a far better option, that is to resign from the parliament and do hardly anything else. Upstaging government might be easier, at least in your own terms or your worldview. So why do you have to keep on going for agitation and these rallies all the time?
See, the first phase of the PDM's protest was these jalsas, which happened all over Pakistan in all major cities. And this constituted to taking our case to the public and giving
Okay.
our narrative, which has been, alhamdulillah, accepted by public in masses. And now we're
Right.
heading towards finale in Lahore.
Right.
So,
Just very quickly, I have to actually intercede here and ask you very simple question. Do you really need a rally to reach out to the people? Can't you actually do it through television?
No, I think, we have to go to the public. We have to talk to them personally. We have to pass this message. And this
Okay.
is our democratic right to do so. Regarding Corona, your previous question, I would, using your platform, send a message to all people that Corona is a very serious matter. And
Okay.
when we come to these jalsas or conventions or protests, we must follow the SOPs and wear a mask and use
Okay.
sanitizers and use try as much social distancing as possible. And that is the
Okay.
policy of our party as well. Now, coming to the resignations,
Yeah.
Patafi Saab, the first phase is the internal preparation of the parties, which has begun after yesterday's announcement that every party is going to collect the resignations of their party members, and those resignations will be submitted to the party head. And
Okay.
then further on, they will be submitted to the head of the PDM, who is
Okay.
Maulana Fazlur Rahman. So the
Right.
first phase has been obviously, this is going to be a step-by-step process where we have, Alhamdulillah, in the first phase, our message has gone across to the public. Now the second phase is street protests, and we are basically, all of this is happening to take the illegal pressure which is on the coalition partners of this government to be their partners, who do not want to be their partners in
Right.
actuality.
Hang on. With due respect, you keep on talking about these plans, like the first phase actually, you were supposed to do this, and in the next you are going to do that. Who's setting this plan? Who's actually deciding this plan? With due respect, the easiest thing would have been to resign. Why do you need all these hoops to actually jump through? You could have resigned and things would have been better. It actually lends credence to this speculation that maybe there are within your party, there are elements who don't want to resign, and one of your crucial partners, that is People's Party, is actually riding the tiger. If it steps off the tiger, that is the Sindh government, it is immediately going to face the brunt of the tiger. That's why they don't want to resign, and hence you keep on putting it off.
No, I think, it was very necessary that we go to the public and send this message across. I mean, if we would have resigned in the first moment, I think without the message trickling down at the grassroots level, it would not have been feasible. And we feel that the protests are to put a pressure on the government that they should resign themselves, or on the establishment or the agencies who are supporting this undemocratic and selected government to step back. So we are
Okay,
trying initially.
I have to actually go to other guests as well, but before I go there, let me very quickly ask you to explain this term, going to the people. I understand that these rallies are your rallies, your supporters organize and bring your supporters to these events. So what do you mean by going to the people? I mean, if you want to actually reach out to people like me who are the common citizens, you can use television very easily rather than actually organizing these jalsas. This seems to be some kind of show of power rather than going to the people, right?
Of course, you have to prove that the people are standing by you. These jalsas are symbolic in a way that they show the support of the people.
Right.
Otherwise,
So it is not going to the people, it is show of force at the risk of undermining that force by exposing it to COVID-19. Sir, let me actually go back to Javed Jadun Sahab. Sir, you have listened to their responses. The question right now is whether the opposition is going to tender resignation or not. For months, we know that they haven't. And even today, there's dilly-dallying. Just look at the hoops. First, we heard PMLN leaders saying that they are going to tender resignation before 13th. Now, then there was this settling of a date that was end of this year, 31st December. And now, it is not even to the opposition leader, it is, PDM leader, it is not even to the Election Commission or Speaker National Assembly, it is going to be to their own party leaders.
Yes.
I mean, they keep putting this off. Do you think they are serious at all about resigning?
Well, that's a very important question. Farooq, I believe it's a kind of a gimmick and nothing more than that. Because we both know it's a very complicated process, resigning from National Assembly. You have to be, first you submit it to the party leader, and then it goes to the Speaker National Assembly. And then National Assembly Speaker has the prerogative to call every individual MNA in his chamber, and he is going to interview them whether it was done under duress, was done voluntarily. And I think the same thing happened when Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf MNAs resigned. So it's a very difficult, very lengthy, and a very complicated process. It's not going to materialize in weeks rather than months.
It is a lengthy process, or they have made it lengthy?
No, even they have made it more lengthy.
Okay.
Even if they had made it very simple, even then it would have been very, very lengthy. It could have taken months because so many, hundreds of people are involved from every political party. And Speaker definitely is going to interview each and every individual, each and every MNA, and then he is going to satisfy himself that resignation was given voluntarily, not under duress.
Yeah.
And couple of
But this could happen within a week? I mean, You ask all your leaders to submit that resignation. It comes to
So
your
for
table tomorrow.
resignations are primarily under the rules, and rules of the business are to be submitted to the Speaker National Assembly,
Right.
not to the party leadership.
And provincial assemblies as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
In case of provincial assemblies, you need to submit it to the provincial
Right.
provincial speaker. And in case of MLAs, of course, it's the National Assembly speaker, not the party leader.
Right.
Party leader doesn't have a right to seek resignations of the party MNAs. Under what rules they are asking their party MNAs to submit their resignations to the leadership? Because they are MNAs, they are represented, they are being represented by the people of Pakistan, their respective constituencies. They sought votes from those constituents, and now they will be returning to them after whenever the elections take place.
Okay.
Secondly, and most importantly, Farooq, you were talking about any chances of any change in the attitude of the people of Pakistan. I think it is very premature, because without the participation of the middle class, our friend from Pakistan, PMLN, kept saying that we have reached out to the people, and the people have bought the narrative. What narrative? Narrative against the army, narrative against the establishment, and narrative against the state. I think
Yeah.
who is going to buy that narrative? If you're talking about your own workers, the hardcore cadre, maybe you can claim that. But talking about the people, the multitude people of Pakistan, I think that would be entirely misleading.
Okay.
And thirdly, it's a country of having more than 200 million population, and you can't talk about the entire people of Pakistan and say that they have bought the narrative of Pakistan Muslim League. And the leader sitting in London spitting venom, I'm sorry I'm using this word, but I think it would have been very appropriate for him to sit in Pakistan and then talk about politics. I am not talking about, I'm not a partisan analyst. I'm not favoring PTI or any other political party. But this, if I reject this particular narrative of the PMLN, I believe most of the middle class in Pakistan, the educated segments of the society, the educated middle class in Pakistan is going to reject any kind of a narrative which is against the state, against the
So
establishment.
basically what you are saying is that PMLN especially, not People's Party, Maulana Fazlur Rahman maybe also keep on scoring their own goals. They keep on attacking themselves in the middle of the way, rather than actually building a narrative that could have actually helped them regaining power. Is it what you're saying?
For what I'm saying, a change took place in 2018. People voted for the change in 2018.
Right.
Only 2.5 years down the road, now the same old party, which remained in power 3 times, they are talking about the change. How many changes you expect from the people to support in Pakistan? You keep on asking the people to vote for the change. What change are they talking about? They're not talking about the betterment in the lives of the people. They're not talking about improving the quality of life of people of Pakistan. What they are saying, I think, to great extent, when Prime Minister says that is probably the cases which have been constituted against them, they are the real reason of their agitation in Pakistan.
Right.
And what they really desire to achieve is to get extricated from these cases, and then they can have a kind of a breather. And I think that's to a great extent the true kind of
amazingly, that is true. But Abdul Samad Yaqub Sahab, since we are again discussion has actually come to the narrative of various political parties. The opposition's narrative, even though it might be at times backfiring royally, but it seems to be multifarious, and your response seems to be only one, that the opposition needs an NRO. Even a Prime Minister actually repeated this today as well while he was addressing a media in Sialkot. The question is, should you also be investing more in coming up with a more coherent narrative that includes institutions that are being attacked, from Supreme Court to the armed forces of the country? Remember that there are many crises that are already there. One, India's belligerence continues, and two, COVID-19 is there. Three, economic revival is still a long way ahead. So shouldn't you actually come up with a good, a more comprehensive narrative, or B, if you cannot do it, at least reach out to the opposition in a direct manner?
Indeed, I agree with you that things could have been, could have been did in a better way. I mean, we should be more lenient to the opposition on some points. But when it comes to, when we got the mandate on the basis of accountability and then the change, to bring the change, then obviously we have to answerable to the masses. So that's why
Yeah,
the Prime Minister
that
becomes.
I'm glad that you actually brought up this matter also, because usually win or lose after elections, every political party actually goes to the numbers and parses what message resonated and what not. In accountability's case, you have been talking about it for 23 years, right? And yet were not that successful at the center. This time it seems that you actually promised something else as well. That was job creation, that was giving housing to the people, and that seemed to have actually resonated with the people. Have you actually conducted any exercise in introspection? Maybe you keep on talking about the things that are your long standing promises, but people expect something else from you right now?
Farooq, if to be very honest, I don't see the sea change. The things, the promises which we had made. Let me be honest. But still, it doesn't mean that we still have a time. I mean, there is a over 2.5 years remaining. I mean, we're going to fulfill those promises. At the moment, what matter is the performance.
All right.
The real challenge is over performance, not the opposition. The
All right.
opposition is just playing irrationally. I mean, the main opposition, the main challenges which we face is the hikes in prices, and then again this COVID, and then we have economical challenges, not these oppositions kind of stuff.
Right. But regarding the parliamentary business, if you remember, and even today, Prime Minister actually highlighted this issue that the opposition makes Parliament a hostile place, very difficult to conduct businesses in, and that might be actually a huge, factor that might have impacted your law-making capacity. That has effects on various decisions that you have to eventually take. Winning over opposition by actually offering some kind of concessions would have actually taken care of this matter. No?
Well, did you ask this question to me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we have seen in the past. I mean, when this parliament was started functioning after the elections, there was a 6 months deadlock on forming the standing committees, and then finally, when the opposition leader was made, Shabashi was made PAC, chairman, and then
Yeah.
right after he resigned. I mean, there are lot of deadlocks. I mean, the way the parliament supposed to function, it is not functioning in that manner.
Yeah.
It along with the opposition parties, but I don't find any serious attitude from the opposition.
Right. That is important. Let me actually go back to Rana Sahab. Rana Sahab, you have listened to the government's perspective as well. The question again, one question that is very interesting is regarding your timing. There are many people who think that your party has actually missed the window of agitation that was needed. You could have done it like PTI after 1 year of the government stay in power. You didn't do it. And right now, even if you actually keep on working on building momentum, January, the deadline that you keep on giving is not going to be that factual. And it's like stopping a train. It will take a few kilometers and then stop. That means you will reach the election time. Have you missed the window, or it is actually geared at the next elections after 2.5 years?
Tafi Saab, with the PTI's incompetent government, the window is never going to be missed because they're never going to stop messing up. I mean,
Okay, you.
even now, even
I
now,
mean, I get what you're saying, but if you remember during PMLN's time also, I used to object to these such claims let me very humbly ask you, you keep on saying that government keeps messing up things, but their, mistakes rate is not greater than your own government's mistakes when you were in power.
Well, when we were in power, we fulfilled our promises. We fulfilled
Like what?
the electricity gap. We
Okay.
fulfilled the LNG gas shortage. We
At
actually
very
put the
expensive prices, sir? At very
not at
expensive
all.
price?
Today, the truth always prevails, and today they are buying LNG at expensive rates than we were purchasing. Now they
Right.
have a LNG scandal on their own plate. So I
Okay.
mean, nothing has come out of NAB inquiries. They have only done one thing. They have mudslung on the opposition. They have destroyed the image of accountability in Pakistan. Nothing has been recovered as of yet. I'm
Okay.
still awaiting the recovery of 20 kg heroin put on Rana Sanaullah. So, I
Okay.
mean, it's a joke. 440 people were involved in Panama, and only one of them was put on trial, and they could not
Okay.
prove anything, and he was gotten rid on Ikama. So, I mean,
Right.
what
So
accountability?
these are failures of this government, right? This is what you are highlighting. The cases that were actually fixed against your party. Now the question is the cases which were lodged against your ex prime minister during your powers time. Who was responsible for that? Were your party responsible for that as well?
The cases
Mia,
lodged against us during our
Mia
tenure.
Nawaz Sharif, yeah.
Well, we have been telling you that a conspiracy was done against our party and our party leadership.
So
And,
when you are in power, any failure that is your failure is going to be the conspiracy of somebody else. But if something else happens during this government, it is the government's failure.
no, well, you see, during our government, we came with the narrative of putting General Musharraf on trial. We wanted to clear our name from FATF. We were doing that
Okay.
ahead of time, and Dawn leaks, that came up, and a lot of things.
General Musharraf leaves the country during your party's government's
Yes,
time.
of course.
Hang on, sir. With due respect, Pakistan re-enters gray list of FATF during your government's time.
Yes.
And regarding all these
Because
matters, that
when
all
we tried,
happened during your time.
yes, because when we were trying to, fix things for FATF, Dawn leaks appeared, and then, everything that the government did after that, after our government, the period expired, they followed everything which we wanted to do
Yeah.
2 years back.
With
So
due respect, FATF was not because of Don Leaks, and Don Leaks, of course, had something to do with your own government. You actually sacked your information minister back then.
yes, there were real pressures, and there are real pressures which are
Okay.
undemocratic. And
Right, sir.
sadly,
Then, see, what I don't like is any political party saying that it doesn't have any agency. Right, Javed Jadun sahab, this is the problem. Whatever mistakes are being committed in my time are somebody else's mistakes. If something happens now, it is their mistake, right? So, zero agency for your own mistakes. But regarding this timeline, do you think that it still works? 2.5 years after the government actually was elected, now you're thinking about agitating. Do you think that time is right?
Neither the time is right nor the people are taking real interest in any change. When you talk about the change, you need to bring about millions of people on the streets.
Okay.
And we are not seeing that. This is not happening in Pakistan. 20, 25,000 people, which I believe are the hardcore workers of the parties, the cadre of the political parties, not the common people, not the middle class, not the intelligentsia, not the intellectuals. They are the real force in any country. You look at the Arab Spring, you look at any change, the revolution in Iran, or they're talking about a revolution or talking about a popular change. I think it takes a very different thing to do that. In Pakistan, I think the time is not right, and the situation is definitely not favoring. Pandemic is wreaking havoc in the country, and people are very cautious. despite the fact people we say don't wear masks, but people are scared.
Right.
People are afraid. Businesses are really
Right.
suffering in Pakistan.
Let me ask you to remove one hat and wear another. Right now, you are wearing an analyst hat. Let me ask you to wear the hat of a pundit and a predictor, right? Tell me what happens next.
I'm very clear about that, what is going to happen next for
Apart from the spikes in the
spikes.
infection rate.
What really is going to happen is the two main political parties I'm talking about, PPP and PMLN.
Okay.
They are the main stakeholders and they are the real democratic forces in Pakistan. There's no doubt in that. These two political parties are gambling on something which is going to be self-destructive.
Okay.
They resign if it really happens, actually happens, which I really doubt is going to happen. Then I think what can happen is Prime Minister can go, or the PTI, the ruling party, can go for the by-elections. Despite the fact they can claim the government is not on a high moral ground, so many people resigned and the elections should be held. But under no rules, Prime Minister or the government is obliged
Right.
or it is mandatory for them to hold the general elections. They can always go for the elections, the by-elections, and all parties are, if they are willing to participate, they can participate. And holding of the elections would be responsibility of the Election Commission of
Right.
Pakistan. One, they are not going to resign.
Right.
This is what I believe.
Okay.
No resignations are going to be submitted to the National Assembly Speaker.
Okay.
And Speaker National Assembly is definitely going to verify, and they are not going to appear. Secondly, I think many fissures would surface as far as the main political party, PMLN, is concerned. Internal fissures. Why? Because I think half or maybe less than half of the MNAs are not
Right.
going to resign.
Right.
If they don't, for 30 seconds.
Well, I'm just
if they
told that
don't,
we are
if they don't submit their resignations to the party leadership, I think this is going to portray the party in total disarray.
Yeah, but again, here's another very quick question. I'm told that we are left with a couple of minutes, but very quickly, this question is for you. And that is, it seems that in 1999, when PMLN was in power, it was accused of being an extremist party, that it didn't have any reverse care or any breaks, right? When it starts confronting, it keeps on going to extremes. And this time, regardless of what Nawaz Sharif is saying, his daughter, his narrative seems to be extremely acerbic, right? And there seems to be intensification every day. It keeps on intensifying. Do you think that there is any autocorrect mechanism in the party, with the exception of Shehbaz Sharif, who would actually totally end up compromising
I
everything?
think that's a $1 million question. The self-rectifying mechanism is totally absent as far as PMLN is concerned.
Right.
Because a party is being controlled by a dynasty, by a particular family, and it doesn't go outside the family.
Yeah, but
So,
People's Party is also controlled by
Absolutely.
dynasty, but they have moderation, they have breaks, they have
Absolutely.
compromise
I think
gear as
the
well.
main difference is they have got a different political culture.
Okay.
As far as PPP is concerned, they have got a different culture as compared to Pakistan Muslim League N. But I believe many within the party,
Culture
PMLN,
as in because of the provincial impact?
no, not because of the struggle they waged and because of the sacrifices they offered for democracy in Pakistan. Of course, I think we can differentiate.
Ask PMLN, they think that everything is their sacrifice. Very quickly, I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Abdul Samad Yaqoob, you want to come in and give a very quick conclusion, please do.
I would say that they should act and play rationally. I mean, the opposition parties should act as a rational player. I mean, and accept the invitation of the Prime Minister for the national dialogue.
Right, and so should you actually, right?
Indeed.
Okay, right, and let me ask Rana Ehsan Afzal, your conclusion.
The government has lost the trust of the people. Giving it more time will further weaken Pakistan on all fronts. We feel that PDM is the right choice for freedom of judiciary, for freedom of democracy, for actual democracy to be implemented in Pakistan. None of our demands are beyond the constitution of Pakistan, and we feel we are heading in the right direction.
Right, and therefore there is no room for any compromise or dialogue at all, right? Very. Let me actually ask Javed Jadoon Sahab also for his conclusion. Your conclusion.
Farooq, in politics, I think dialogue is the only way forward.
Okay.
Whether it is the opposition or the government or the ruling party, because ultimately they need to sit on a negotiating table and discuss out the differences they have. Otherwise, there's no second or third option. You really don't want the establishment to interfere or intervene in this situation, because in the past we have seen that General Kakar formulas and all that. But today, you stand on a high moral ground, say that no intervention from the establishment.
Yeah.
So who is the third party now? You don't have the judiciary to come out and play their role. You don't have the civil society. It is about themselves, about the opposition, about the politicians, about the parliamentarians. I think they are the people representing the people.
You used one sentence, one phrase. I actually just wanted to point out. It is not judiciary's role to actually intercede and bring them together with due respect.
Absolutely.
It is not a family court, and these are not fighting. You know,
It is the
families.
government and the opposition.
Right, but earlier you
Can I
also
add
said that
something?
Allah might be able to, interfere here and nobody else. So I'm told that we have run out of time and we have to conclude the program. Javed Jadoon Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Abdul Samad Yaqub Sahab, thank you very much. Rana Ehsan Afzal Sahab, thank you very much as well. Because this idea about timelines is important. On one side, when you look at the narrative of opposition, on one side, especially PMLN keeps on impugning all the national institutions, right? And simultaneously, when the government says that we are ready to talk to you, the opposition, especially PMLN, says that we are ready to talk to the establishment, not to you, right? So I find a contradiction, a moral contradiction here, and somehow they have to realize what they are doing. But on the other side, when you look at the strategies that are employed of late, we heard of these two possibilities, that PMLN is going to agitate, PDM is going to bring down the government. Hasn't happened yet. Maulana Fazlur Rahman came to the town and sat here along with the supporters. There was no ramification. On the other side, People's Party also tried to actually win over Gilgit-Baltistan by being polite or moderate, right? Even there they failed. Now the question is, why is the opposition failing repeatedly in doing what in meeting the goals that actually sets for itself? The answer seems to be that it doesn't have a very appropriate timeline. It waited for 2.5 years to actually come out. People haven't come out, and right in the middle of a pandemic, you decide you are starting your agitation. So who's going to have the moral upper ground? It seems that the government will have that. So opposition also needs to work on its own methods, and then the government also actually has to show some flexibility, not offer NRO. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.